Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. I am your host, Sam Randazzo, and I am joined today by my two rather handy co-hosts. To my right, it is the one, the only, Uncle Sam.
Hello.
You use that to measure your dong?
No.
No?
No, sir.
You need a longer one to measure your dong?
No.
And to my left, our very own Mr. Zolo, Mike Palazzolo.
It's a great day.
It's a great day.
It's a great
Fired
day,
up.
and it just got better.
Just got better. We're going to get into it here in a second. Behind the computer, as always, Bruce the Tugboat, Venditti.
What's going on?
All right. How was everyone's week? Good
Bruce
week?
the V Venditti.
Bruce the V.
That's how your week was? Pretty crazy.
How was your week? You have a good week?
Sorry?
Did you have a good week?
What do you mean? It's only been a couple of days. It's been fine.
I mean, we had,
Working hard, bud.
It's
Living
Friday.
the dream.
Wednesday evening, Thursday.
Living the dream.
What's up this weekend?
It's
Like,
Friday. What do you mean? It's only been a couple of days. It's been at least 4.5 days at a minimum.
Living the dream, bud. Living the dream.
Zolo, you?
A great week. Just turned better. Got whirly ball tomorrow.
Oh, you do have Whirly Ball tomorrow.
Got
Yeah.
what?
Saturday nights are for the Whirly Ball.
What's whirly ball?
You never played Whirly
Well, I
Ball?
got pickle in the morning too, and I got this. I got Breezenberry Alani New. Shout out to Alani New. Why haven't you sponsored us yet?
What are you doing?
I used to play pickle, but my version of pickle's a little different. Anyway,
What's your version of pickle?
no, forget it.
What flavor you got over there today?
I have the bomb pop. It's like I was when I was a kid. We used to have those things. The bomb pop.
You did? I
yeah.
have to take a break from the Alani
Yeah.
New right now.
That's when the good humor guy used to drive down the streets in Detroit, and we'd get to, everybody would follow the truck. Hey, I want some ice cream.
One of
That guy
my
would-
dad's last
That guy would come out and
projects.
try to fucking touch all the little kids.
One of my dad's
Sorry.
last projects before he died was he bought a 1950 Ford Econoline that he was going to turn into a good humor. He was going to restore it and
That's
turn it
awesome.
into a good humor truck. But he just had a body essentially, and he never got around anything else, and we eventually sold the body. But
You didn't finish it?
no,
Come on.
he bought the body of the car, just the frame, a
Correct.
couple months before he died, and it would have cost we have a bunch of other cars we have to restore in the meantime.
My condolences to your dad. I didn't know that he had passed away.
It was 8 years ago, but thank you.
Yeah, my condolences.
Thank
What year?
2015. What year is
My
it
dad
for your
died in
dad?
2015.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
What month?
February. Actually, January 26th.
That's some
we-
shit.
yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Did your dad? How old was your dad? I don't mean to go off.
64, a month shy of 65.
Oh, he was young.
He was young, yeah. And I've met your mom before,
dad
so
was
I know your
77.
dad. Yeah, he was. I knew your dad had to have been younger.
77, and my mom always said you can't kill evil. She was wrong.
God, we're on a roll today.
Anyway,
What a way to start off the show.
and Sam,
that's what
Sam
I
still
got-
hasn't been to the cemetery, by the way.
That's what I got to asking everybody how their week was.
How's your granddad?
Anyways, I was going to say something.
So I send him pictures of the stone every 4th of July.
He's just still going.
You're not going to tell anybody?
Are you done?
You're not going to tell anybody?
Tell anybody what?
Then I send you pictures every 4th of July.
Every 4th of July, you send me pictures.
Sal's birthday was on the 4th of July.
In case anyone cared, I am feeling quite a bit better.
Oh, I was gonna ask.
Nobody cares.
Because I'm gonna make a full court press to see if we can get you to whirly ball.
The only issue I'm having now,
Is venereal disease.
the steroid that they put me on to get rid of the sinus infection is now doing one of two things. It's either constant constipation or constant diarrhea. Right now, we're in the constipation phase. So
I
that
thought you were gonna say it's making your pee-pee small.
Hopefully,
like the
we can
baseball
finish this
players do.
episode.
no, hopefully,
That's a
yeah.
myth.
I didn't put my suppository in yet today, so that way I can make it to the end of the
Tipped
episode.
Bruce can
Tip
handle that
Roy.
for you later.
Right.
Bruce can
Anyways.
tongue fill that suppository for you.
Jesus.
Can we get into it?
Intro.
Let's
Bless
get
you.
in.
What an intro.
Bless you.
Thank you.
God bless you. Okay.
As you all probably know, last night, our very own Detroit Lions headed up to Lambeau to play the Packers and came out victorious. Not just victorious. They are now 3-1. They are now the sole owners of first place in the NFC North.
Yep.
And before I give it to my wonderful co-hosts to just have a field day with, I would like to point out one thing. In my opinion, the best part of that Lions game last night was their pass rush, interestingly enough. The quote-unquote flailer.
Uh-oh. I turned up the YouTube. I watched the YouTube on here so I could see your comments.
The quote-unquote flailer had a pretty nice game, if you ask me.
It was okay.
David Montgomery obviously looks like a man amongst boys.
He definitely. I'm going to talk about the MVP of their team right now.
Go.
Taylor Decker. That whole offense, and the guy was playing on one leg.
He was
To me, he got it up for this team and went out there, and no, he's not 100%. I don't even think he's fucking at 50%, and went out there and did a great job.
Well, they said that he could have possibly re-aggravated that injury in last night's game. That came out today.
You saw it while he was running.
They don't know
At
for
the end there, he could barely. Now he was going up against a furious exchanges after exchange with the
Sean
kid.
Gary.
Yeah, they were going at it, man, and he was on one leg.
Yeah. There was a point, one of my favorite points towards the beginning of the game, Aiden Hutchinson, just the flailer. I know you don't want to give him a lot of credit right now, but he's playing like probably, if it's Micah Parsons, the number 2 best pass rusher in the league at the moment.
No, let's not get out of control.
No, it's not. The numbers back it up.
I'm not an analytics guy. I see the difference in players.
Good. I'm happy you see it because he's literally in on every single
He was
play.
in Jordan Love's face.
And
every
since
play
they've moved him to the middle, since Aiden Hutchinson's been moved to the middle on third downs,
We talked about that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We talked about that from the Kansas City
it was
game.
your theory.
When they pushed him inside, he was getting more of a pass rush inside than outside. I think they need to play him more inside at a 3 than he's playing on the edge.
I think Aaron.
I would rather see them put somebody else on the edge and put him inside. Push him inside on third downs. I don't have a problem with that.
So what I'm going to take from this now is that the fluke game so far was the Seattle game. Because, I mean, they were in firm control of that game last night. I don't think it was never at any point in question.
It looked like they had a game plan.
They had a game plan.
An absolute game plan. And outside the interception by Goff in the first series, they were pretty much flawless.
This is what we can take from this. If you want to call the Kansas City game lucky, I'm not going to call it that. I think they played a great game and won it.
Hey, they outplayed them, period.
They outplayed Kansas City. Then they went into a week against Seattle, which we know for some reason this team always has a hard time with Seattle, and they didn't have a very good plan.
That was a coaching issue, not a player issue.
They came in against Atlanta, took care of business. They went into Green Bay last night, took care of business. Right now, my feelings on this team are that they are going to be an 11 or 12 win football team, and they're going to win this division. Now, we got some time off before their next game, but they go to why am I having a moment?
Next game is Carolina at home.
Carolina at home.
After that, they go to Tampa and to Baltimore.
So, realistically, I think if they should win 2 of those next 3 games.
Mm-hmm. And then the Raiders Monday Night Football after that, going into the bye. So
Okay.
if we want to break down the whole 4-game segment,
3 of 4.
yeah,
They should go 3 and 4, which would put them
6-2.
at 6 and 2.
If you remember what Mike was talking about, the season is in sections.
Yeah.
4-game increments.
Well,
And
Section
he
1,
talked
they
about
did
that.
pretty fucking good.
Section 1, they come out 3-1.
Yeah.
You
They need to come
You
3.
can't be more happy than that. I would have been more happy with 4-0, but
The way I look at it
We
is
had
no
some
one's
coaching
beating the
issues
Lions in
yeah.
regulation at this point. That's how I'm spinning at this
no,
point.
I'm just happy they're winning.
And then number 2, I was pissed about that Seattle loss. It's the one that I wanted. I wanted Kansas City,
That's
but
the
I
one I
really
wanted.
wanted Seattle. I was pissed about the Seattle loss, but put it this way. They benefited so much from losing that game, and it was such a wake-up call. And
Yeah.
it put this defense in check now to where it went from, oh shit, to now it's one of the best pass rushes in the league at the moment, and a defense that is not to be trifled with. You better come to play if you're
we
going
have to
against the Lions
understand
D-line.
That basically our line is so beat up. Our offensive line, as beat up as ours is, so is Green Bay's.
Well, yeah, but this is the other
Green
thing.
Bay was
it's the
missing their
NFL.
starting left tackle. They're missing a lot of guys up
Bakhtiari's
front.
going to be out for the year now.
For
And
every
that-
for every
that
comment
hurt
on
them.
Green Bay's offensive line being decimated, which I
Right.
don't disagree. For every comment on that, the reason the Falcons started out 2-0 is because their offensive line was very good through those 2 weeks. It's a sneaky
Correct.
good, highly graded offensive line. And going into the game yesterday, I know you don't believe in analytics. Going into that game yesterday without Bakhtiari, the Packers actually did have the highest graded offensive line in football.
Well, they showed that they are not the highest graded offensive
No,
line.
hell no.
They already showed that.
Hell no. Either
That was real quick. That was shown.
Either that, or at some point, if what's happened over the last 2 weeks keeps happening, we're going to have to give the Lions' defensive line credit at some point.
Yeah, I'm not discrediting them at all. I thought Bugs came to play. Lee McNeil was excellent.
Oh, that was one of Lee McNeil's
Excellent.
best games as a Lion.
McNeil, that's probably one of the best I've ever seen him play. Period. He was getting upfield. I like the fact that he lost a little weight, so he's a little quicker now.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
He's a little lean
I like
cuisine.
that. I like where it's headed. They look good. The first half they dominated. They dominated the first half of that game.
One of the best halves of Lions football
I've seen in decades.
And I think it backed it
Decades.
up, too. I think that's the largest lead they've ever had at halftime in a game,
Then,
if I remember correctly.
David Montgomery is what makes this machine go. Without him, they are not the same football team.
You called
offensively.
it. You called it on
He
Wednesday, and I
makes
agreed
the
with you.
engine go.
You said he would have a big game on Wednesday, and I agree with you. And I just want to say, we nailed all of our predictions on Wednesday. The only thing I missed is I think the under's going to hit because it historically hits in this game. But I also said there's a scenario where I think the Lions do enough damage to where this over hits. Can I just say, you nailed Montgomery.
Yeah.
You nailed Montgomery. I said Jordan Love was going to have a couple picks. Jordan
you
Love.
did. Hit it
Jordan
right
Love had a couple picks.
Hey, by the way, I had on my defense
Jacobs.
Jerry Jacobs.
JJ, did you start him?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I said Lions D would show out. It did. I thought the pass rush, it just goes back to all those adjustments Dan Campbell said needed to be made after the Seattle game. They need to win their one-on-ones. They need to not overcommit. It looked like they were blitzing on every play yesterday, and they were not. They were rushing 3 or 4 max. They were getting a 45% pressure rate
I was
by
really,
rushing 3
I
or
really
4.
liked how they were bringing everybody up on the line of scrimmage, and they were showing blitz and then dropping out.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with that. As long as you're getting there, I don't have an issue. What happened was in the second half of that game, you're worried about them taking their foot off the gas, because this is where the New England Patriots would absolutely crush teams, would be come out in that third quarter and absolutely take control and put their foot on their necks. That didn't happen. And that's a coaching thing to where they got to be able to react to what's going on.
Listen,
Love started to drop back in 3-step drops, 4-step drops, and getting the ball out early. And they had some success doing that.
They made a good correction for Jordan Love. They made an excellent correction, which is what you just said. It shortened the drops and get the ball out faster.
Correct.
And then if a guy is open, he's going to be there. It's just on Jordan Love at that point to make the throw.
yeah, Green Bay's done that in every game they've played so far this year. They make great halftime adjustments.
Yeah, they have.
Can we get to Zolo's 5 things,
Please, let's hear Zolo's 5 things. Let's go.
And chime in whenever you want, Uncle Sam.
Right.
I know you're going to be fucking fiending over there, and I want to hear what you have to say. Thing number one. This Lions offense in particular has responded all year with their backs against the wall. There were 3 examples last night, and I will give you 2 more from throughout the year. Last night, Jared Goff, not that it was a bad throw, it was a bad read to start the game, and he threw the ball away. They gave up 3 points off the bat. Guess what they did the next drive immediately? They came down the field and scored. They responded perfectly. Later on in the game, the clock gate, when the clocks hit 00 and the Packers got a free play and scored. Guess what happened immediately after that? The next drive. What happened?
Came back and scored.
The Lions went 90 yards and took 8 minutes off of the clock and put a dagger drive together, touchdown drive together, where they went for it on 4th down twice. It was beautiful, okay? Earlier in the year, backs against the wall in
They
Kansas
had
City.
a penalty that helped them with that too.
Yeah, but that's part of the game. That's part of the
Yeah.
game, and that was a penalty. You cannot do that. It's a guy that's done that in the past.
Yeah, you could do it
should
in
know better.
college. You can't do it in the pros.
So earlier in the season in Kansas City, when Mahomes drove down the field, okay, they had their backs against the wall. They came and scored in the fourth quarter to take the lead, to make it 21-20. And then in the Seattle game, the game that they lost, everything was going wrong. You were down offensive linemen, and David Montgomery was out, and there were injuries, and guys were dropping off the field. Guess what? They still came down the field and scored in the fourth quarter, and then they had the ball to win at the end of that game as well. Every time their back is against the wall, they respond. And before you guys say anything, it brings me to thing number 2 of 5 thoughts. Number 2 is Jared Goff. Jared Goff has slowly, I know you think it's Taylor Decker. Jared Goff is the MVP of this team. Everything he says, everything he does, his presence in the locker room, he is so poised right now. And this guy, we're so fucking lucky to have him. This guy was supposed to be the throw-in to make the salaries work in that trade. And guess what? He's slowly evolving into the most effective piece in that trade. A trade that was beneficial for both teams, of course, but he's evolving into the most prominent piece in that trade. And they are so lucky to have Jared Goff. And I just want to bring something up, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on it. Did you see the Ryan Fitzpatrick thing? Did you guys see that?
Yes, absolutely.
Did you see the Ryan Fitzpatrick thing? For those that didn't see it, real quick, Ryan Fitzpatrick has been referring to Jared Goff as a poor man's Matt Ryan, whatever the hell that means. Matt Ryan went to a Super Bowl and had MVP caliber seasons. That's fine. You want to be a poor man's Matt Ryan, that's fine. So after the game, Jared Goff goes to that Amazon paddle that Ryan Fitzpatrick is on. He goes, "Hey, I heard you call me a poor man's Matt Ryan." Well, I thought that was cute that Goff brought it up instantly. He was waiting to say that. Do you think Matthew Stafford would ever have said something like that? When Terry Bradshaw called him out for wearing his hat backwards, and when the officiating blew games, Stafford, I'm sure he was a leader. I know he was a leader, but he didn't have that fire and go to bat for the town like Jared Goff does. And we are so lucky to have Jared Goff in that locker room. That's thing number 2. The reason why thing number 1 works, which is how the offense has responded all year, is because of Jared Goff. What are you guys' thoughts on Goff so far through 4 weeks?
I agree 1,000%. I mean, well, not only did I draft him as my QB1 in fantasy, which even though it didn't go my way last night, I agree. It's not just that he's more outspoken than Stafford was. It's just that he's
a pro.
You know what? He's falling into that consummate pro thing.
He's a pro.
That you always go down. And he's there. He doesn't, you never see him. You don't see the temper tantrums. You don't see him freaking out.
He reminds me a lot of Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, well, he might not be as fiery as Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers, there was
fiery.
nobody nicer than Phillip Rivers.
But it's not even about nice. These guys want
good
to
guy.
play for him.
He's a good guy.
You know what? I'll say that's the biggest difference between what you see from Stafford and what you see from Goff. Goff's guys seem like they are Goff's guys. Whereas even when Stafford was here, I don't know if he had that type of relationship with his teammates. And we know, due to his wife's comments, that he doesn't have that type of relationship with his teammates in L.A.
Yeah, he
so
doesn't have that type of relationship with his wife either. But anyway.
The Rams got their Super Bowl ring from it, and good for them. But at the end of the day, long term, I agree. Jared Goff was the win in that deal, and right now he's got this team behind him, and they're clicking on all cylinders because of him.
It's pretty bizarre that Sean Payton couldn't make it work with Jared Goff, even though he kind of did. I mean, he had some monster seasons, and they went to a Super Bowl. But it's weird that Sean Payton let his
Sean McVay.
Sean McVay, excuse me. Sorry, wrong guy.
Good.
Wrong Sean.
You confused me there for a second. Okay.
That Sean McVay couldn't make it work. I have a question for you, Uncle Sam.
Matt Stafford is not the reason why the Rams won a Super Bowl.
I agree with you 100%.
And I'll say that to the day I die.
How many quarterbacks are you taking right now over Jared Goff?
Handful.
I mean, we could do this
All
right
right,
now.
what are you going to do? Mahomes?
It's a
Mahomes?
handful. It's Mahomes.
Burrow?
I still take Joe Burrow. I
Jackson?
know 90% of the people won't. Honestly, right now I'm taking Goff over Lamar Jackson. I'm giving you Burrow.
That.
I think I'm taking Goff over Josh Allen.
I would take Goff over Josh Allen, over Justin Herbert and over any of those other guys. I would
Right.
say he is more of an accurate thrower. The only guy that I might take over him right now that nobody's talking about is Tua.
Tua
Because I
is
think
on the
Tua is
list.
deadly accurate.
I think Jalen Hurts is on the list. I would put Jalen Hurts on the list.
That's it.
There's
A handful.
probably
It's a
4 guys
handful of
I'm
guys.
taking
I
over
came up
Jared
with
Goff
6.
right now. Okay, go ahead. Name them.
My 6 are Mahomes, Burrow, Tua, Hurts, Allen, and Lawrence. Right now.
I don't think I'm taking Trevor Lawrence right now over Jared Goff, but
I'm not
I'll
either.
give it to
You want to know why?
I'll give it
Because
to
if
you.
I look at those two, they look very similar to me. But I think Goff is protects the ball a little better than he does. I'm not trying to say that the guy doesn't take care of the ball. I just think Jared Goff is a better protector of the football. He doesn't put his throws into harm's way as much as Trevor Lawrence does.
I agree with that too. And same.
But
thing with
Trevor
Josh
Lawrence
Allen.
wants to push the ball downfield.
Yeah.
That's something that Goff doesn't do. Okay, he doesn't do that.
thing number 3 on Zolo's 5 things. The defense is so in sync right now. It is crazy in sync, and there's one play in particular that I want to talk about. It's the I don't know if it was the first Jerry Jacobs interception. On that play, so much had to go crazy right for that interception to go down, and it started with Aiden Hutchinson, who, fuck man, he's absolutely in fuego right now, and he had, with the world watching last night, he had a lot of people's attention with how good he was. And it started with Aiden Hutchinson rushing up the middle on that play in particular. Okay, that was the first part of it. Second thing is Brian Branch was dragging in coverage on I think Dobbs at that point. So Dobbs wasn't even open. The third thing, someone that I am reluctant to talk about but has been a monster for the last 3 weeks in particular, it's Alex Anzalone. Alex Anzalone has been so
God.
good. He did something. He tipped a ball.
He had one good game.
He did the thing. No, look at his grades. He's been outstanding for 3 games at this point.
Tackles from behind.
He tipped a ball perfectly, and then of course Jacobs was in position. But there's one last play there that no one saw. You have to look at the wide angle for you to see it. You have to be from the perspective of Jordan Love to see it. Tracy Walker drilled Christian Watson as soon as the ball was tipped, before it was caught. Because if a ball is tipped, you could start blocking receivers anywhere, and you could stop them from catching a ball. Tracy Walker absolutely pummeled Christian Watson on that play. In this defense, mainly Hutchinson, McNeil. There's 2 guys in each facet. Hutchinson, McNeil, Anzalone, Brian Branch. They're clicking like crazy right now, and they are so in sync, and that is why the last 2 weeks have gone how they've gone. They went 7 quarters without giving up a touchdown, essentially. I mean, come on. Like, that's like, there's going to be a point. I don't think it's going to be this week because they have another lackluster team coming in, and then the week after that. But there's going to be a point where we're going to be talking about this defense from a league-wide perspective and
Yeah,
not
be
just the
careful.
Detroit
The Red
perspective.
Rifle's coming to town.
Bryce Young's supposed to play.
Bryce Young is going to play this week.
The Red Rifle will be on call.
There was one thing last night that I didn't understand, just because you're talking about the defense. I didn't really understand them putting Brian Branch back into that game. That worried me.
I agree with that. I didn't like his. I don't know what happened to him. They're not saying. They're saying X-rays came out negative. I think it might be a little more than that, just because he was unable to put weight on that. leg.
I'm watching him walk off the
That's a
field,
bad thing.
And the first thing that, just because it didn't
second
really look
time.
like anybody hit the first time,
Yeah.
it didn't really look like anybody hit him. And the first thing that popped into my head when I saw him go out in the car,
Aaron Rodgers'
He-
Achilles.
yeah,
That's what I
same,
thought of.
same.
and
No,
I
he-
shit myself.
He did get rolled up on. I think he had a bad ankle twist, and it was severe pain in real time and couldn't walk on. And if you've twisted your ankle before, you know that
Yeah.
comes back later. Does that rule out a high ankle sprain? I don't think it doesn't. He could have that right now. But X-rays are negative, and he's fine. The second play, it looked like cramps, and I think they eventually confirmed that.
I agree with that.
Regardless, you are 100% correct. He should not have been back in that game. I think they only put him back in because Will Harris got burned immediately, and that was a problem, but that play shouldn't have even happened, so it's fine.
Yeah, that play was at zeros when it happened. So
Thing number 3.
4.
Thing number 4. The Lions are who we thought they would be. They are doing what they wanted to do. They wanted to bully people in the trenches on both sides of the ball, and it showed like crazy last night, even with a banged-up offensive line. The offensive line had the lowest grades on the team other than Sewell. Decker was great last night. He gutted it out. He still gave up some pressures, and he was lowly rated. The right side is still struggling, but they bullied them. They absolutely bullied them. And on that drive in the fourth quarter, when David Montgomery, and in a small dose of Gibbs, but when David Montgomery was having his way with the Packer defensive line, oh my God. I'm just thinking to myself, like, this is it. This is what they're the best team in the Big Ten, the Lions. This is what they want to do. They want to be able to pound the ball. And then conversely, on the other side, the Lions defensive line for 2 weeks now has just played. There aren't even words for it. Like all of a sudden the sack numbers are up and the pressures are crazy and they got these quarterbacks running all over like they're nuts. And this is what they wanted to be. They wanted to be the team that could rush for and get to the quarterback. And then on the other side of the ball, they wanted to be the team that could create huge holes in the A, B, and C gap and pound it down your throats and tell you, we're going to keep doing this until you stop us. And they weren't stopped last night doing it.
I can't disagree. I mean, you knocked the D-line. You knocked the D-line a lot. Do you think in the last 2 games there's been a big jump?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that just because of after they had seen the scheme from the Atlanta game, I truly think that Green Bay expected more pressure than what they got.
And the other thing is, they're as deep into their roots now. It's like,
Yeah.
This team is truly gritty. It's truly, we're going to pound the ball.
It was
ball.
really great to see Buggs in there fired up and McNeil fired up. That was a side to these guys that you haven't seen yet.
Yeah. It's all starting
What
to
you
click
saw
right
yesterday, you have not seen the first 3 games of the year.
Just before we get into the fifth thing, President Baker in the chat wanted to know if you would take Jared Goff or Trent Dilfer.
Why are we talking about this right now?
Because one of the commenters asked. This is President
really?
Baker. We can't just let his comments slide.
You told us.
Tell him I would take Colin Kaepernick.
And then also, Arab Fantasy is requesting your presence at Whirly Bowl tomorrow.
Who?
Arab Fantasy.
The Arabs.
The Arabs.
I don't know what that is.
Anyways, moving on. The fifth thing.
The fifth thing, I try to sneak in a bad thing here, and there were some bad last night. I didn't like the Brian Branch return as well.
I didn't like the David Montgomery 30 carries.
You thought
I'm
he should
gonna be
have
honest
more or
with
less.
you, dude. I think they should have gave Gibbs more carries. I wanted to see him utilized more.
That's the one. Literally took it out of my mouth. That's the one knock outside of Branch going back into the game.
Like.
Jameer Gibbs, and I said it on Wednesday, I thought this would be his coming out party. 8 carries and 4 receptions.
I still think it's a work in progress, and he's a rookie running back in his first 4 weeks of the season. And
Is it just me, or does he look uncomfortable catching the football?
that was the one was a bad throw.
The one was a
yesterday.
bad
It
throw.
drop.
I get it.
I don't know yet because in training camp in the ones he didn't look uncomfortable catching the football. A lot of his big plays in training camp were via, screens or whatever. I think they're just easing him in. That's fine with me. I'm
starting
still
to think
fringe,
what you had said prior to this.
fringe panic.
That he doesn't look like a 12th overall pick.
There's that, but there was a lot of play, especially on that 8-minute drive. It all goes back to that drive. There were a lot of plays where they were both on the field. They were doing great motions with Gibbs to drag people out wide, and I just think it's a work in progress. And it's been a month. I think he's got more to give. I think when the offensive line is healthy, you're going to see more from a running perspective from Gibbs, but there's clearly a lot to be desired, and that is one.
He's explosive. That there's no doubt with his explosion. There's no doubt about that. I mean, any guy in this league is explosive when they're able to get in the open field. Any guy in the league is like that.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, you've seen it in Miami.
Well, Miami has literally all the fastest guys in the league on their
Well,
team.
that's another thing.
So thing number 5. Again, I try to sneak in a negative. I'm not going to do that after yesterday because there's some. That was like an exercise the demons type win, even though they've won there a couple times in the last few years. Thing number 5 is the Lions fans right now.
Buddy of mine, Mike Palumbo, was at that game. He was taking
There you
pictures
go.
of the game.
From what I understand, the pictures didn't even do it justice. It was probably at half Honolulu blue yesterday.
Yes.
And this is becoming a trend. It was great in Kansas City. I know people that are going to Tampa, which is the next road game, and there's a lot of listen. It's a bigger picture conversation because there's a lot of displaced Michiganders all across the country because of the way the auto industry worked. Plants moved to Tennessee. They moved to Arizona. They moved all over the country. There's California.
Uh-huh.
There's Michiganders in Chicago all the time. So there's certain places where you're going to see a higher presence. But it's like if you used to watch when the Tigers were good 10 years ago or when the Wings were in their heyday. If you watch road games in certain cities, it would be loud. Florida, Tampa, Florida in particular, that whole west coast of Florida, and then parts of South Florida. Florida is a great example. That's where the Lions are going next. They're going to Tampa. There's going to be a lot of Honolulu blue at that game. Yeah. And then after that, they're going to Baltimore. I'm actually going to that game. I'm going to be wearing blue. There are tons of displaced Michiganders in the entire DMV area. And then the next road game after that, LA, which that stadium gets raided every week. And you know what? When the Lions played the Rams there 2 years ago, there was tons of Honolulu blue there because there's a ton of displaced Michiganders all over LA. So if that's a trend, if this is something that we're going to sink our teeth into at this point, Lions fans have been outstanding. You're going to turn road games into really crazy atmospheres. And just shout out to Lions fans. We deserve this. We've been waiting for this for so long, and this is our reward. It's paying off. And for everyone that showed up there last night, everyone that went to Kansas City, if you're going to another game this year, good for you. You deserve this. Enjoy it. That was like it was evident on TV. It was visible. It was loud. After the game, you took over that stadium for the second time in the last 9 months, and it's fucking cool right now. This is great, and we deserve this. That's all. That's 5 things. I'm excited to see what the next segment of 4 games is going forward. But things are really looking up right now, and we have a bonus because as of an hour ago, Jameson Williams is no longer suspended. The suspension has been rescinded. The NFL has changed their gambling policy to first-time offenses are only 2 games, so he was over-suspended for 2 games. He can report to the team on Monday, and it's time. It is Jamo time. Uncle Sam, are you ready?
Yeah. I thought it was ridiculous that he sat as many games as he did.
So they changed all the rules around today, pretty much.
Whatever. You could stomp somebody in the dirt and get 3 games.
Well,
just remember that.
First violation.
I could stomp Bruce in the face 20 fucking times and only get 3 games.
You can get 64 hand jobs and only get suspended 8 games. The first violation, 2-game suspension without pay. Second violation, 6-game suspension without pay. Third violation is 1 year minimum without pay. That's betting on non-NFL sports from the workplace.
Okay.
Betting on NFL games.
Permanent suspension.
2 years.
Minimum of 2 years, maximum of lifelong banishment.
Wow.
So any NFL betting whatsoever,
You're done.
you're done, essentially, is what the precedent they're setting. But this is the way that it probably should have been
From the beginning.
beginning.
Right. Now, if that was out there, I'm sure you wouldn't have seen as many of these guys doing what they were doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's
This is
clear.
what
It's a
happens
clear
when you make the
policy
rules
now.
up as you go.
Right. There's no gray area. It is concrete. You bet on football, you're done.
Right.
You bet on anything else, you're going to sit your 2 games. If you don't figure it out after that, then it gets worse.
So just circling back to Jamo, he's 100% healthy from what we understand. And here's the problem. This happened last year to him too. It takes time to get indoctrinated back into an offense. And things are going a certain way right now. They probably didn't expect Sam Laporta to get as many targets as he's getting. They probably didn't expect Reynolds to be playing the role that he's playing. So now Goff has to find a way to build a rapport back with Jamo.
He has to, just because the Marvin Jones thing is not working.
Well, that's a positive.
Awful.
The problem is Marvin Jones' targets have just slowly depleted
They needed
over
to.
the last couple
They
days.
needed to, because he's not the player he was when he was here in the past.
So here's the deal. What are we expecting from Jamo? Personally, I think it's going to take a little bit of time. I think he's only going to get a series or 2, maybe
I don't
in between.
think, you know what? If I was them, I would absolutely throw him out there and target the dog shit out of him.
This is the
Because you know why? It's been 2 fucking years, and it's time for him to step up and show everybody that he's a 12th overall pick.
Okay, but let's look at this. All right. So last night, Goff threw the ball 28 times.
Right.
All right. 5 went to St. Brown.
Right.
Those targets belong to him. They ain't going nowhere.
Okay.
4 went to Laporta.
Those
Okay.
aren't going anywhere either.
I don't think those are going anywhere.
It's fine.
Okay, so then obviously you're going to lose the ones from Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond. They only had 4.
Reynolds is his main safety valve
Right. So
at this point.
what I don't know, the thing I'm struggling with right now is how many.
It's really simple. You should have at least 4 targets a game, and all 4 of those targets need to be down the fucking field.
You'd be happy with
Period.
4 targets a game.
Down the field.
Okay.
So
I don't want to see him catching a fucking 10-yard out.
here's the deal.
I want him going down the fucking seam 40 yards.
It's a bigger picture conversation. That's all his targets are going to be downfield.
That's what I want.
But there's a bigger picture conversation. It all goes back first. It starts in the trenches. You need the offensive line to return to form, okay? Because if they can buy Goff an extra second, what Jameson Williams does is he takes the top off of a defense.
Correct.
And of course, Khalif Raymond's he's outstanding. He's incredible at that. But what Jameson Williams is going to do is he's going to develop a play downfield faster than anyone on the team. So if you establish the run properly and you run play action properly later in the game, Jameson Williams should be down the field and should be open. At that point, it's just going to come down to is the ball overthrown or underthrown.
He should be at least get 3 to 4 targets past 20 yards, period.
It all starts with having to run the ball better, because if you're able to run the ball up better, you're going to be on the field more.
They did that
You're going to have
last
more
night.
passing plays. They did. They ran the ball outstanding last night. But I think it's going to take a second for Jamo to click in this offense. They're going to have to redistribute a lot of the target share. But I think there's going to be a point in the season where you're going to see in the back half of the season, you're going to start seeing Jamo do some
tell you
real
something.
damage.
If they had Jamo yesterday, and you wouldn't have need to gave the ball to
Dave
Montgomery 30
times.
fucking times.
Yeah, I agree.
You
with
could have
that.
gave it to him 20 times,
Right.
or 21 times, and at least 4 to 5 of those targets downfield to Jamo.
Agreed.
And he would probably be an open for at least fucking 3 out of the 4.
And something you have to do with Jamo, you can only cover him in man because he is so fast.
Correct.
So you need to take your best press corner. He probably is going to need safety help, okay?
Correct.
But you can only cover him a certain way because he is so fast.
And the payoff to that will be St. Brown and Laporta
Exactly.
will fucking absolutely
Exactly.
eat
In the
from
middle of the field, there's going to be massive chunk plays if
That's
Jamo
gonna,
is
that's gonna
dragging
help David
people with him.
Montgomery too.
It should
Listen,
benefit
teams are
everyone.
playing up on the line of scrimmage with the Lions because they know they don't have a fucking guy who can stretch the field. Teams aren't stupid. They're not stupid. They know the Lions can't really stretch the field. Outside Raymond, they don't have a guy to stretch the field. Teams know that. And they've been playing and taking advantage of that. That's where Seattle took advantage of Detroit because they knew
Yep.
they didn't have anybody that could stretch the field like Williams. They knew that.
That changes the dynamics of their offense.
Correct. It makes them even more dangerous. And once that happens, you're really going to see it open up.
I agree.
You're going to see the Ben Johnson 45 fucking points a game.
So it's a great day to be a Lions fan.
And he'll be gone.
You're coming
He'll be
off.
gone after this year.
We're coming off one of my favorite wins ever last night, and then 12 hours later we get Jamo off a suspension, and let's just get these guys healthy. If these guys get healthy,
Get that old line healthy. Get
Jesus.
these guys to really start gelling together, and they could be something special.
This might be a record. We only spent 40 minutes on the Lions.
All right, let's do something else.
All right, moving on to some news. This one I know you're going to be intrigued by. Chandler Jones, the Raiders' former star pass rusher, one of the Patriot greats.
Bones Jones.
He was booked into the Clark County Detention Center last night in Las Vegas,
Okay.
where he was picked up on 2 counts of violating a domestic temporary restraining order. He's expected to be released sometime today.
Okay.
The Raiders came out and made a comment. We are hopeful that Chandler Jones receives the care that he needs. He, his family, and all those involved are in our thoughts. As this is now a legal matter, we will not be providing any further comment. The funny thing about this was last night before he got arrested, he went on Instagram. He went live on Instagram. And we know the statements he made about the possibility of Mark Davis being some sort of pedophile in the last couple of weeks. But last night, he came after Josh McDaniels and said that none of us know what Josh McDaniels had to do with Aaron Hernandez and that Josh McDaniels knows everything there is to know about Aaron Hernandez and where all the bodies are really buried. So
they try to say he's crazy now?
well,
Is that what everybody's saying, that Chandler Jones is crazy?
after we got off the show Wednesday,
Okay.
he went on Twitter in tweets that have since been rescinded and said that he was held against his will in a hospital and injected with medication that he didn't tell them to give him.
Okay.
So we have a Kanye West-esque situation breaking out
Well,
here.
I don't think you can say that. I mean, this is a grown fucking man that's a man, not a little fucking singer, that's obviously got some issues going on, personal issues with his family. And my man kind of lost his shit a little bit. But for him to start spouting that Josh McDaniels knows more than what people let on to know, obviously he's heard that either from the source or from other sources that are close to him. And I think to say that he's batshit crazy right now is kind of fucking jumping the gun. Maybe he knows something other people don't.
Maybe.
Mark Davis is a fucking weirdo. Look at him. All you got to do is look at Mark Davis.
Yeah.
He's a fucking weirdo. Okay? As far as Josh McDaniels goes, everybody knows he's a fucking douchebag. Everybody knows that. Even Tim Tebow knows he's a douchebag.
I have one.
God bless Tim Tebow.
God bless him, Tebow.
Sorry.
Praise be. I have one comment, and then I have one scenario. Well, I'll tie it all together. But imagine being the Las Vegas firefighters or the nurse or whoever that has to go in and stick a needle in
Chandler
Jones.
Jesus Christ.
In Chandler Jones.
That's a
And you know what? He's not even a tough one.
No, I was
His
just gonna
brother's a
say.
fucking stone
Imagine
cold
if he
killer.
calls. Imagine if before the fire truck shows up, he calls John. He's like, "Yo, brother.
Hey, JJ, come and help me out here.
Yo, brother.
Yeah.
Them
And he's a
firefighters
stone
are giving
cold
me a
killer.
hard time right now." And he calls his animal, one of the top UFC heavyweights ever, brother, to come and help out. Imagine that scenario playing out.
Baddest man on the planet.
Number two, in regards to Josh McDaniels, he doesn't have anything to worry about because he's going to get fired for how his team's playing on the
that's
field
true, yeah.
before anything else happens.
That's true. He's going to be gone.
So
Either that or get indicted.
maybe.
Well, speaking of indictments, we have some Bears news. Wide receiver Chase Claypool was asked today in an interview after practice if the team is using him in the best way for his talents. His response, "No, they're not using me right at all. No, they don't know what they're doing."
God.
So, everything seems to be going even better in Chicago this week.
So Chase Claypool's not being used the right way.
I think Chase Claypool's going to quickly find himself on
Out of a job?
waivers. Yeah.
You should.
In a clay pool.
Yeah.
That's why Mike
In a
Tomlin
pool covered in
let him
clay,
go.
buried.
You don't fucking put up with that garbage.
There was a part of me like 3 or 4 years ago where I would have celebrated harder on Bears negative news than I would have on Lions good news. But I'm sick of wasting energy on the Chicago Bears. At this point,
that's
it's such a they may be overtaking the Washington Commanders for and the Raiders are up there too, but for biggest dumpster fire franchises. They've been run poorly for years. The McCaskies have no clue what they're doing. Every hire has been worse than the last one.
Well, I mean, they haven't done anything since basically the early 90s.
Hold on, the Cutler team a couple years ago. There's a theory if Cutler
with,
doesn't get injured,
Urlacher.
if Cutler
that
doesn't get
team was
injured, they beat the
decent.
Packers. That's the theory in that championship game. But other than that,
That lost to the Colts. They
no.
lost to the Colts in the
That was
Super Bowl.
Rex Grossman a couple years
that's
later.
Grossman.
Yeah, Cutler brought them to the NFC Championship game a couple years ago. Or
Yeah, but then he was
10
ran
years
out
ago.
of town.
I think I ran out of time.
Yeah.
Well, he also sucked. So, we're
married to that-
all good in the Chicago
Married to that
Bears.
little
Yeah,
bottle
that's it.
girl that
We're all
supports
good.
him anyway, so who cares?
No.
No, they're not married anymore.
Oh, they're not married anymore?
College talk. Should we talk some college football?
Please, we've been putting it off.
We have been, and I know this is a hot topic for both of you. Where would you like to start?
Let's go back to Coach Prime. We'll keep it brief this time.
Okay. If anybody watched the Colorado-Oregon game
I did.
last week,
I did.
I did as well. It was not Colorado's best showing.
We said that was going to happen too.
And we,
Uncle Sam.
yes, we did.
We kind of knew that was going to happen. I mean, it was real nice that they beat up a TCU team at the first game of the year that basically lost fucking 60% of their team to the NFL. And, first game of the year. What are you going to do?
So
But then,
I have two things I want to mention with Colorado. The first is Prime had he's been outstanding all week. He called out one of his 5-star recruits for not watching enough film, which was incredible. I thought that was really great. And I don't have the exact comment, but his comment after the game last week was perfect. He said, one thing I could say, do you want me to do it in the Prime voice? Do you want me to talk like him?
I don't care. If you want to talk like Prime, go ahead.
No, I don't think I can. But he said, one thing I could say honestly and candidly is you better get me right now, Sanders said. This is the worst we're going to be. You better get me right now. I
agree with
quote.
that.
I love that quote. That being said, I still think they have a lot of losses on the docket.
Listen, they got to play USC this week.
Yeah.
That's
we
gonna
can
be a
do this.
Very tough game.
We can do this right now. They're evading some of the good teams in the Pac-12, but they have to play USC. They get them at home, and a bunch of people are going to that game, by
That's
the way.
tomorrow.
LeBron, Lil Wayne, yeah. They have to play USC at home. They have to go to the Rose Bowl and play a decent UCLA team. They have to go to to Utah. Those are their last two games to end the year.
Many teams have better Utah is one of the best defensive teams in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have their lunches. They better pack their lunches because that's going to be a really, really tough game.
Yeah, so I think Utah is going to win the Pac-12 again, probably, because they've they've looked like the first or second best team through 4 weeks, and they haven't had their quarterback, Cameron Rising.
Right.
So they're 4-0 with some pretty big wins. They stomped UCLA last week.
Yeah.
Without Cameron Rising. So on top of that, they still have a good Washington State team. We're going to talk about Washington State when we get to Mel Tucker in a little bit because their coach has become a candidate. They have to go to Washington. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, they have to go to Washington State, and they have to play another ranked Oregon State team. So that leaves their margin for error for bowl eligibility. It's very, very thin right now. It is very thin.
Well, they at least got to win 6 games.
Yeah.
At least 6.
So they're at 3.
Right.
There's a good chance they're going to beat Stanford. There's a good chance they're going to beat Arizona State. And there's a good chance that they're going to beat Arizona. You cannot lose one of those games if you want to be bowl eligible because then you got Utah, you got Washington State, you got USC, Oregon State. There's the margins razor thin. I love what Prime has done this year. It's been great. I think he's going to have a lot of recruits coming in, but razor thin margin for error, Uncle Sam. So what happens from here? What do you guys think happens from here? Do you think they make bowl eligibility? Do you think Prime leaves? Like where are we at on the Prime conversation?
So I think that they're going to win one game that they shouldn't win. I think they come out of this somehow.
Let me stop you. Don't you think there's a shot? I agree with you. I think they're going to end up winning one of those big games. But do you think that they lose one of those games that they're supposed to win too?
It's hard for me. I don't think so. I think he's going to have him. This is the thing, right? Oregon's a perennial college football team, in my opinion. Would you say Oregon's?
If you watch that game, you really seen the talent difference.
Yeah, I mean,
and that was huge, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Colorado does not have the studs on the defensive side of the ball to compete.
No.
With the USCs and the Oregons. They don't have it.
No.
And he knows that.
And I'm with you. And another element with Oregon is they had been hearing they were so ready to put and Colorado State was the week before too, but Oregon in particular was so ready to just take that Prime narrative and just stomp it into the ground. And they did. Their coach,
they used that as bulletin board all week.
Of 100%.
No, I agree.
Their coach, Dan Lanning, who I think is one of the best coaches in college football at this point and is a very up-and-coming guy, he was on that 2015 Alabama staff that featured Mel Tucker. It featured Tosh Lupoy, who he replaced at Oregon. It featured Kirby Smart. It featured Lane Kiffin. I'm missing some names right now. Mario Cristobal, who's at Miami now, the Florida head coach. I can't remember his name, but they're so the way those coaches, their mindset, other than Mel Tucker, he's the outlier, but their mindset in terms of cutthroatness and getting their teams motivated. Dan Lanning had that team ready to play.
He had him jacked.
And
That team, let's be honest, that Oregon team returned a lot of starters from last year. A lot of guys from last year. And that's huge for them.
Bo Nix is a top 20 quarterback.
You look at the teams that are
probably.
struggling right now, the teams at the top that are struggling, Alabama, still struggling. Georgia, as good as they are, they're struggling. Michigan is struggling. They can't run the football. They lost so much on their offensive line. This is what's going on. This is your new wave of college football that's coming. Because every year, teams like Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, all these teams, listen, the top 300 players of college football go to the fucking pros every year. 255 to be exact, or 58. They go to the pros every year. And in the first round alone, Georgia put 7 guys in the first round alone last year. I mean, they do it every year. Alabama put 5 to 6 guys in.
There's always going to be
every
a down year or two.
So there's going to be that year, like right now, outside. I would like you to name one quarterback beside the Michigan quarterback who has any kind of experience to run a team in the Big Ten.
Currently in the Big
One
Ten?
quarterback.
You talk about
Outside Cade
current,
McNamara.
There's none in the Big Ten.
Exactly.
And that matters, too.
Exactly. That matters big time.
Experience matters in college
The
football.
guy that's at Georgia, inexperienced. The guy that's at Alabama.
That's Alabama's biggest
inexperienced.
problem.
The guy who's at Ohio State doesn't have any experience.
He's played well, though.
He's played well, but I'm just saying he's not. They haven't played a big game yet. That's coming.
So,
Wait, you're talking about Ohio State hasn't played a big game?
Correct.
Wait, they just...
Outside their last game.
That was a big game.
It's Notre Dame. Come on, dude.
you know what? You know
Notre
something?
Dame hasn't been relevant in 10 years.
Honest to God, and I'm starting to agree with him on this Notre Dame take. It seems like every time Notre Dame's in that big game,
They choke.
they fucking choke.
Okay, agreed.
They're a
I'm
choke.
And
happy-
Brian Kelly was a better coach than the rest of these guys.
I'm
Notre
happy-
Dame's a constant choke job.
I'm happy you said that because I think Notre Dame is a joke, an absolute joke.
Join
and
a
they,
conference.
and they also did choke the game away.
Yes,
they
they
literally
did.
choked the game away. For those that didn't see, they had the ball with 4 minutes to go after getting a stop on 4th down, and they started throwing the ball and stopping the clock, and they gave Ohio State the ball back in order to get that drive going where Ohio State won the game. But you cannot take credit from Ohio State, and that is a big game. I don't care what you say. I've been to Notre Dame a couple times before, and it's fucking insane
Listen to
there.
me.
And
Listen
that
to me.
environment was
I've
insane
seen Notre
on
Dame
Saturday.
play back when they were Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Not now.
When they were real.
Not
I
now.
agree with you. Brian
Back when they
Kelly's
were
Notre
real.
Dame's teams were their playoff team was a joke. And the year they lost to Alabama 2012 in the national championship game,
Wait a minute.
they were a joke. They did not belong in there.
They,
I'm with
they
you.
were they were outgunned, outmatched, out everything
Yeah.
in that game. And Manti Te'o with his made up girlfriend and all that bullshit, stupid. But anyway, I remember all that. I remember Notre Dame when they were fucking Notre Dame, when people were afraid to play them because these guys would come in and they would absolutely ass hammer people. You haven't seen that shit in decades, man.
That's fair. That's fair.
You haven't seen it in 30 years.
That's fair, but that's still an extremely hot. It was a close game for a reason, and it was still an extremely hostile environment. And trust me, I'm the biggest Michigan fan. If I could take credit from Ohio State, I would love to do that. But they went in there and they won, and credit to them. I don't think Notre Dame holds a candle to Penn State, and I certainly don't think they hold a candle to Michigan.
No.
But that's still a huge win for an
I think
inexperienced.
Penn State and Michigan are both better than that Notre Dame.
You talked about experience, though, and now Kyle McCord, Ohio State's
Right.
quarterback, he's got that one game of experience. Did he play outstanding? No, but he's been good this year, and he still went into Notre Dame at night on the road and got a win. That'll benefit them against Penn State, and that'll benefit them against Michigan when they eventually play Michigan.
We'll see. About that deal. I do know this, but Ryan Day, don't you know, the old man Lou Holtz is old and senile. Leave him alone, dude. If that guy says anything, you take that with a grain of salt. That guy hasn't even fucking. I will say this. He's sharper than I thought he would be, especially at his age.
His response
That
was sharp.
motherfucker's older
How
than
fucking
dirt.
His
old
response
is
to
Lou
Ryan
Holtz?
Day was sharp.
Yeah, he's older than
he
dirt.
clapped back pretty nice to the clapback.
What do you mean?
He's only 86.
So he blamed Michigan.
He's old. He doesn't even know where he's at.
Hey,
half the
Dianne
time.
Feinstein's old
He probably
ass
wears
died
a
at 90
diaper.
today.
What?
You didn't know she died?
What?
Oh yeah, she croaked.
Dianne Feinstein.
Yeah, that was inevitable. That was some
Lawyer?
weekend. That was some
No, the
fucking.
senator.
Dianne Feinstein was weekend at Bernie's. Literally, her staff was controlling her corpse for the last 2 years.
Oh my
Oh, wow.
God.
You didn't know that?
I did not
No,
know
I
that.
did. You know what? I had heard something
She
about
was
that.
90. Wow.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell's next probably.
Well, that's
Mitch
the only
McConnell.
way you can
That's
get rid of
another
these.
weekend at Bernie's
Hey,
situation.
That's the only way you can get rid of these fuckers.
If you're
It's the only way.
If you're dying in office, you're too old to be in office.
office.
That's a story for another time. No, we're gonna get sidetracked. We gotta talk football. This is a football
I'm
show.
talking football.
Anyways, hold on. Going back to Ohio State.
Yeah.
I don't think Ohio. I think Ohio State is better than you're giving them credit for. But I think that they're going to lose to Penn State. I just got that feeling
Lou Holtz said that
they're not tough.
they're not physically tough.
Correct.
And I will say this: the last 2 years against Michigan, they've been physically beat up. They've
Bullied.
physically been beaten up
Bullied.
by Michigan, and it wasn't even close. Now, mind you, Michigan's turned over their roster.
It's
the
not.
last 2
It's
years.
not as much as you think. They've turned over their roster.
Yeah, they have.
But they're returning more starters than any team in
And
the Big
they,
Ten this
they
year.
do have a lot of experience. Michigan has more
Yeah.
experience outside the offensive line. They have more experience at the positions in Ohio State.
Their offensive line is still it's still more experience, and they have 7 guys that can get drafted on the offensive line. No, they're
Probably.
not. They're upperclassmen, most of them, and that's where Michigan's program has changed. Is Sharon Moore came in?
Yeah,
and
they can't run block right now.
currently, but I thought
That's why you're seeing the running backs who were both supposedly Heisman candidates.
wait,
That
hold
they're
on.
not even in the picture.
Blake,
anymore.
Blake Corum's got a Heisman campaign going on right
Yeah,
now.
maybe.
And in their second half the other day, we'll touch on Michigan real quick because there's not a
Okay.
lot to touch on. They haven't been great. In their second half the other day, I thought they were decent. I thought they completely
They're
revamped
okay.
everything on both ends, and I thought they were doing everything. That was their best half of football. Was the second half.
They could
versus
do
Florida.
that against Penn State. I'll believe it.
Hey, I'm with you.
That's it.
I'm with you. It
They
goes
could
back
do that
to
against Penn State and Ohio State. I believe.
It goes back with Penn State though, with Drew Allaire, who's been good. I think he's a little overrated, but it's going to go back to the experience. He's got him at home. They don't have him at night at home though. And Michigan went with Cade McNamara 2 years ago. They went into Happy Valley and won in a similar game. I just think Michigan, when it comes down to that, I'm with you. If you want,
McNamara. Shout out to Cade McNamara. Where's he at?
Iowa.
he's been talking
Iowa.
mad shit this week.
Yes, he has.
Have you seen
And I'll
that?
tell you what, Iowa's offense is an absolute fucking dumpster fire.
Yeah,
Absolute dumpster fire.
yeah. He's on
I don't know
watch.
if you've seen it. It's not good.
And I think we talked about it on the show already, but do you know Brian Ferentz' contract clause?
Yes.
The guy scored 25 points. Yeah, so they're trending in the wrong direction there. And Cade McNamara spent all week blaming the coaching staff. Like, not all week, but they asked him, and he goes, I just throw the ball. I just do what I'm told. His
Yeah, he
receivers
never
have
did that
combined for
here.
2 touchdowns, and he's got like 14 completed passes. And
Said people love that kid here. A lot of people like that kid. Still like him here.
you beat Michigan State if J.J. McCarthy starts that game 2 years ago. And you don't beat Georgia, but you fare slightly better against Georgia if J.J.
Not going to beat
McCarthy's
Michigan
starting.
State with Kenneth Walker.
No, Michigan. If
Not going to happen, bud.
I mean,
Single-handedly
do we want
ran
to talk
all-
about the 6
He
calls?
single-handedly ran all over Michigan.
That's fine, but do we want to talk about the 6 calls that went against Michigan that game, the home cooking?
It doesn't even matter. He ass punched the Michigan defense. What do you have, like 5 touchdowns in that game? 6
You know what?
touchdowns?
This is a perfect
Crazy.
transition because had that game not happened, that game was the best thing to ever happen to Michigan football because you know what happened? They went on to win all their games from then on out, other than the
The
Georgia
only
game.
thing that would have happened and better in that game is that if Kenneth Walker had ran to the sidelines and stuck his helmet right in Jim Harbaugh's ass.
That's listen.
That would have been the only thing I would have been entertained.
That was
to
the
see.
best thing to happen to Michigan because you know what happened? That's the game that got Mel Tucker his contract extension and turned the Spartan program into a tailspin. And
Yeah,
Michigan,
you're right.
Michigan has accomplished every goal that they've accomplished other than a national championship since then.
I can honestly say this: them running D'Antonio out of town was the stupidest thing they've ever done.
His teams were going to shit though.
This
Oh,
the
tell me.
stupidest thing he ever
he,
done.
he couldn't recruit anymore, and his teams were going like this.
But a lot of
The
his
stupidest
coaching
thing they ever
staff
did-
went away too.
I mean,
why.
but Mel Tucker was given a massive money pool to sign coaches and then didn't do it. Or well, he did
No,
it,
he
but
signed guys.
he
they're
signed guys.
dog
He just
shit.
overpaid for bad coaches. Listen, this is a
guys
perfect
signed are
transition.
dog shit.
This is a perfect transition. Everything you do at Michigan State is predicated around if you beat Michigan. And Mel Tucker beat Michigan in a highly emotional game and
More
got
than
one of the
once.
biggest contracts. The first one was, I mean, if you want to give it to him, that's fine.
Listen,
it's the
he-
second one that got him the
2-0
contract
on him.
extension. What about last year?
They lost.
And what has he done? He had a losing season the first year. He beat Michigan. Had a winning season. Good job. He beat Michigan. Michigan went on to win the Big Ten and go to the college
he
football
made
playoff.
$71 million, dude.
He's not getting that $71 million.
Oh, he'll get it.
He's not.
He'll get it.
He might get
Watch,
20
he'll
or
get it.
30 million of it, but
Oh,
he's not
he's
going
going
to
to get more than everybody thinks. You know why? Number one, it's racist what they did to him. It's sexist what they did to him, and it's just not right. You can't fire somebody on innuendos and just he said, she
Listen,
said.
We're not going
Listen,
back
it's
down
bullshit.
this road.
Listen,
we're going down
we're-
the road.
we're not
Now
gonna-
I'm
we're gonna
backing the
talk
truck
about-
down the
he's
road
not getting-
right now and unloading it.
Now
He's
we're
not
gonna-
getting
absolute
fired for that.
horseshit.
He's not getting fired
God
for
bless
that.
Mel Tucker.
He's getting fired because that fan base just doesn't want a horny
Whatever.
bastard as their coach.
The holier now fan
talk.
base at Michigan State. Give me a fucking break.
I'm stopping this right now. Who's replacing Mel Tucker? I gave you a
Who's
nice
going to
list to look
replace
at.
him? Who do I think should replace him?
Who do I think is going to replace
There's
him?
only one coach that I would agree with replacing him.
On this list that
I
I
know who he's going to say.
I know
Hold on,
he's not
hold
on the list.
Hold on. Is it D'Antonio?
No,
Oh, I thought there's somebody that's not on this.
It might be.
they're not on this list that I wish would go back to coaching because I think he's one of the greatest coaches
If
of all
you say
time.
fucking Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson.
You cack right now.
Jimmy Johnson. And let me tell you something right now, Lou Holtz. Don't you ever threaten Jimmy. Jimmy will kill you with the hammer of God.
So let's go through the list. I'm a little more versed with it than you guys, so I'll break it down. I don't know the numbers, but I think it's 5 or 6 out of the 9 names I gave you guys on this list have coaching ties already to Michigan State, whether they were there before or they played there. But the first guy is really big right now. It's Mike Elko, who's the head coach of Duke. Duke has a massive game this weekend against Clemson, and there's a lot of spotlight on. I'm sorry, Duke's playing Notre Dame this weekend. I'm sorry. There's a massive spotlight on Mike Elko because Duke has played really well this year. They already went into Clemson and won. I think they're undefeated. So Mike Elko is the first name on the list, and he had this quote today that's got all the Spartan fans in a tizzy because they
Clemson's
watched the
dog shit
movie.
right now.
They watch the movie 300 before every game, and they do all the Spartan chants in the weight room.
Who does?
The Duke
The
players.
Duke players.
Duke players.
Dude, that's great.
Number 2 is Dan Enos, the offensive coordinator from Arkansas. He used to coach at Central. I don't know if you guys remember that. So he's familiar with the area. Number 3 is Matt House, who's LSU's defensive coordinator. Number 4 is Charles Huff, who's the head coach of Marshall. Great coach. Number 5 is a familiar name, Pat Narduzzi, former D coordinator of Michigan State. He's currently the head coach at his alma mater, which is Pittsburgh. Number 6 is Mike Tressel, also is at Michigan State. Mike Tressel is Jim Tressel's son, probably hates Michigan, and he was, I think in the latter half, after Narduzzi left, I think that's who took over, was Mike Tressel as the D coordinator. 7 is a recently hot name. We talked about Washington State earlier in the Pac-12. They're looking really good right now. It's Jake Dickert,
See,
their
I
head
want
coach.
a young coach here.
Jake Dickert's a young coach.
Guy. I want a younger guy who's got a good mind that's going to come in here and actually put this program in the right way. The problem is this. The better Michigan State is, the better the Big Ten is. When you got teams that are just dog shit like Duke and fucking Vanderbilt and fucking Purdue and Rutgers, the better these teams get, the better your conference gets.
So
then
hold
it
on
gets
though.
a significant coaching candidate will help nothing but the conference.
Are you criticizing the where these coaches are currently coming from? Is that your
No,
is that
I'm
your
not
point?
criticizing where they're coming from. What I'm criticizing is this. I don't want to see older guys like Pat Narduzzi, who's been around. He's been around the block a few thousand times. I want a young, fresh guy in there.
Him and
I want
Enos,
a young guy in there.
Him and Enos are probably the oldest
Yeah.
guys on this list.
They are.
I don't think Spartan fans want Pat Narduzzi because he hasn't accomplished shit at Pitt. I mean, he did for a couple years, but he's also talked a lot of shit about Michigan State since he's left there. And it brings
I will
up
say
the-
this: he was the best defensive coordinator that Michigan State has had since fucking I can't even remember. I'm starting to remember his name back in the '80s. He was my guy at Michigan State.
The real quick, the last
Percy
two.
Snow was linebacker at Michigan State.
The last two guys on the list that I want to talk about
for
is Lance Leopold from Kansas, who turned a really bad Kansas program around. They have a big game this weekend
Hey,
against
who's the big
Texas.
giant fat guy that used to be at Kansas?
Dead.
Charlie Weiss, who was
died?
at Notre
No,
Dame.
not
No,
Charlie
it
Weiss.
wasn't him.
No, he
Oh,
was at Kansas.
I know you're talking about. He was the guy after Charlie
Remember, you
Weiss.
used to send me pictures of them and say, "Hey, is that you?"
Yeah.
I can't remember his
Mark Mangino.
That's
Mark
it.
Mangino.
That's it. That was my man right
Not to
there,
be confused
dude.
with the
He was a hell of a
Manginius,
coach.
Eric Mangini.
I remember him on the sidelines screaming at his guys. I'd be afraid to come
Oh,
to the
he's
sideline.
still alive. He's still alive.
He is
Where
still
is he coaching?
No, his last coach. He was the last time coaching. He was the tight ends coach at Iowa State in 2015.
So the last,
God bless him.
The last candidate I think is great. It's Sean Lewis, who is Colorado's offensive coordinator. And Sean Lewis, he came from Kent State, won a couple MAC titles. He's
Right.
familiar with the region, and he didn't get fired from Kent State. Prime just hired him to go to Colorado. Who's the guy on this list that you guys think? For me, it's Sean Lewis and then Charles
Okay.
Huff. Charles Huff at Marshall
Yeah.
was the recruiter of the year. He's close with Joe Moorhead, who was the former coach at Mississippi State. I think he's at Toledo now, or I don't know where he is. Akron. I think he's at Akron now. And I think that
That's
Charles
what
Huff.
I want. That young guy who can actually go and recruit and bring in guys to buy into his system, and that's what I want. I don't want some old relic here because that's not going to hurt. That's not going to help the program. You need some new blood in there to turn things around.
Well, you need someone that could recruit and work the transfer portal. And I want to
Correct.
say something about Michigan State real quick from a Michigan fan's perspective. Michigan State, people are saying, why would you want to go there? It's the same reason Mel Tucker went there. It's not some crazy undesirable job.
Right.
It's in arguably the Big Ten East is either the first or second best division in college football. It's the Big Ten East and maybe SEC West. It's a 2-horse race between those two conferences, okay? Or between those two divisions. On top of that, the Big Ten is getting, starting next year and then the year after, they're getting USC, they're getting UCLA, and then eventually Washington and Oregon. And eventually there's going to be more teams. They're going to get some of those ACC teams, okay? So coaching at a Big Ten school, no matter which school it is desirable. No matter what. Another good thing about Michigan State is they've won. It's a program that has won in the last couple years. They went to the college football playoff in the last 10 years. They won a New Year's Six bowl game 2 years ago. He beat Pittsburgh in Atlanta in the Sugar Bowl. And on top of that, you can recruit Detroit. There were more NFL players from Detroit high schools than any other city's high schools on opening kickoff week 1. You instantly get Detroit. If you get a guy that can recruit the South, that can recruit the rest of the Midwest, this is a desirable job. And also, the money is there at Michigan State. It's clearly there. You have two billionaires that have been in a pissing contest between Dan Gilbert and Matt Ishbia, and they don't care. They'll throw any money at their athletic department to make sure it's relevant. So they're going to get a good guy. It's going to be the young guy. It's going to be whoever is going to get the job done, but they're going to get someone good. And I just want to say to whoever thinks that Michigan State is not a desirable job, I think it is a desirable job, and I'm a Michigan fan. I think Michigan State's going to get a good head coach. The difference
State
between...
fan.
I can
Always
tell.
been one.
I could tell.
I've always been a State fan.
The difference between this hiring cycle and the last one where they ended up with Mel Tucker, it was in May.
Tony Banks.
Mel Tucker was in May when he got hired. They're going to have a full coaching hiring cycle to find a good coach, and I think they're going to get one. Is it the best job in America? Fuck no. Are there going to be better jobs open? Yes. But Michigan State is going to get a good coach, and it's going to probably come from this list. How's that for college football talk?
Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
Should we pick week 4?
It's longer than the 10, 15 you want to spend.
No, it's perfect.
It's because
No,
he
it's
got
good.
off the
Listen,
rails
no.
with Mel Tucker.
Listen, you have to remember, when we say that Lions Talk's only going to be 20 minutes and college football is only going to be 10, that's 40 and 30 easily. So those are just
adding on to it.
yeah, but as long as we're having fun.
Let's head into week 4, baby.
Let's go week 4. We're starting off in London. The
fucking games.
Falcons are playing the Jaguars at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time at Wembley Stadium. Jacksonville is a 3-point favorite in this game. By the way, we use Yahoo Sports for all of our lines. I checked whatchamacallit. Jacksonville is a 3-point favorite on there too. I don't know if that switched.
Okay.
Printed.
I probably typo when I
It
typed
could have
up
been a
this
typo.
list.
Either way.
I put in the wrong
London
spot.
games because they never live up to any kind of
Whoa. What about Lions-Falcons from 5 or 6 years ago where Matt Prater drilled a 50-yarder as time expired?
They're just
games
not
used to
high
feel
scoring
so-
games.
I hate the London
They're
games
dumpster
because
fire
half the
games.
time they're not on TV, and I want to watch football. And that's a weird time.
They are on
9:30.
TV, but they're on at 8 o'clock.
They're
in the
not
morning.
always on TV. They're not, and sometimes they're regional for the teams that are playing.
Correct.
They're trying to change that, though. They're trying to make sure that if there's a
Well, they
standalone
need
game,
to
it's on
because
TV.
when they bring the next 4 teams in, which actually the next 4 teams will be based in Europe.
This one is okay. We're not going down this conspiracy theory hole right now.
It's not a conspiracy theory. It's what it's going to be.
London will get a team in the next 10 years. We're done with the conversation.
Either way,
I'm
this
with you.
game is
Stop
going
watching
to be.
football.
This game is going to be on ESPN.
Hello.
Jacksonville's a 3-point favorite. The over.
We're in bloody London for our next game.
By order of the Peaky Blinders.
Shut up before you feel the back of me hand.
You got to pick. Are we doing the Irish or are we doing the English accent? Because you do that when you're doing Irish references.
I'm all over the place.
You guys are both dying over here.
I'm going to take. Oh, I don't know who I'm going to take in this game. I know I'm taking the under.
You want me to go?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I like the Jags. That's a home game for them. There's this weird scenario. Remember we were talking about the Jags Stadium
Jags,
early in the summer?
yes.
There's a lot of pushback in Duval County on the stadium, and there's a weird scenario.
Khan has been wanting
They're
to push
playing
this
back-to-back
team.
weeks.
He's been wanting to get rid of Jacksonville for 5 years.
So one of these games, the Jacksonville's there in London next week there
Yep.
too. That's 2 weeks in a row. One of these games is a home game and one of them's a road game. Let's say they sweep the 2 games. What if there's immense pressure from London? We're like, we'll pay you a lot of money to move this team here.
Let me tell you something right now. They're already going to change their name. The London Crumpets. That's going to be the new NFL team, the London Crumpets.
On that note,
Formerly the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I'm going with the Crumpets -3.5. And I also like the under because the under tends to hit in those London games. Guys, the offenses drag their feet in the London games.
Go ahead.
I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons to cover in this game.
Fucking knew it.
And the under.
Do you think the Falcons are going to win?
No, I'm taking them to cover.
It's
3-point
3.
game.
It's 3.
So it'll be a 28-27 game.
Can you ever say who you want to win and then?
I can tell you who I want to win. I think Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville's going to lose this game. I want the Falcons to win.
Okay.
Okay, better.
Better.
That's better.
Better. I'm going to
Okay.
take Jacksonville -3 in the under.
I'm taking the under also.
Next up, we have. This is, in my opinion, is the game of the week. I don't know why this game is a 1:00 game. And then what do we get on Sunday Night Football this week? Is it the Chiefs at the
what's,
Jets?
Chiefs, Jets.
Jesus, couldn't they have flexed?
What's
this
the
out?
temperature in Buffalo right now?
Probably 70.
It's supposed to be a warm weekend all
Warm
over.
weekend over
Yeah.
there. Okay, it should be a fucking goddamn track
Sunday,
meet.
the high is 77.
There, it's going to be a track meet there in Buffalo.
Buffalo is a 2.5-point favorite. Over under is 53.5 points. I know that 53.5 points is a lot of points. That's a shitload of points. But I am taking the over in that game, no questions asked, and I'm going to take Miami to cover the 2.5.
I'm going to take the over in Miami to cover.
Miami to win.
Miami to win.
Yeah, I just don't trust the Bills. I think
don't
their
either.
2 wins are fluky. Not fluky. They just play bad teams, and I think Bills. I'm sorry. I think Dolphins D is going to be stout enough. We'll have fun. Fuck it. We're going to go with the over. It's a fun over.
We're going the over, and we're all going Miami.
Over in Miami.
Over
Got
in
that,
Miami.
Bruce?
I got it.
All right.
Loaded.
Also, this game, I last week we said we were going to do our anytime touchdown scorer. I have 2 from this game.
Okay.
One is Tyreek Hill.
Easy.
Okay.
Because I mean, if you just you're almost guaranteeing yourself a win if you bet Tyreek Hill to score a touchdown.
Okay.
Okay. And my second one is Stephon Diggs because he needs to get one in this game. I'll be shocked if he doesn't end up with one. I almost wanted to go Babe Davis, but I'm gonna go Stephon Diggs. If somehow Stephon Diggs doesn't come out of this game with a touchdown, I will be shocked. Moving on. In what I truly think could be, you know how last week we said we had toilet bowls and dumpster fires and all the above? No. On the contrary, this is the toilet bowl. This is the fucking shitstorm. This is the dumpster fire to end all dumpster fires. The Denver Broncos are heading to Chicago to play the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. Denver is a 3.5-point favorite. The over-under is 46.
I don't have it.
The big question, it's down on the list.
Oh,
it's number 11 on
sorry.
the list.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
The big question is, how the hell do you get 70 dropped on you and then go the following week
And because
and you're a 3-point favorite on the road? That's how bad the Chicago Bears are. I think Sean Payton is not going to choke this away, and I like the Broncos to cover. I think it's going to be a statement game for the Broncos. I like the over in this game.
you do.
I do like the over.
Wow.
I think the Broncos are going to come close to hitting it themselves, and I like the Broncos to cover that -3.
All right, I don't know if I'm that confident in the Broncos, but I'm going to take Denver -3.5.
You say what you want right now.
And I'm taking the
fantasy. As a fantasy right now, our man is ranked like 3rd or 4th.
Who?
Who do you think?
I
Our
don't know.
Denver quarterback is ranked 3rd or 4th, even though he's doing
In what-
calisthenics on the airplane. He's 3rd or 4th ranked
What?
in fantasy. His point.
In what fucking world
he's
are
in
you
the top
living
10,
in?
dude.
He's ranked 6th.
Thank you. Hello.
I think he's going to have a big week. I think Russell
Wilson is going to have a big week.
I think
He had
every
a big week
Bronco,
last week. Nobody
every
talked-
healthy Bronco is going to be a good play this week.
Okay, hold on. When you say he had a big week last week, they lost by 50 fucking points.
It doesn't-
What were you supposed to do? Hey, Russell Wilson had a great
Still
afternoon.
put up 28 points. What did
They
he put up last
20.
week?
They put up 20.
What did he put up last week?
In his 50-point loss, he put up a 17.
Okay, that's not bad.
And
Dolphins
Considering how
D's
bad the
decent,
fucking
too.
team was.
moving on. Wait, hold on.
You gotta
I'm taking
pick it.
Denver -3.5 in the over.
I'm taking the under in Denver.
Denver in the under.
Yeah.
So Denver in the over, Denver in the over, Denver in the under.
Life's
Got
too
it?
short to go with the under, man.
I agree. Life is too short to go with the fucking under. Moving on. We have a big fat divisional game. I don't know where you're sleeping here. The Baltimore Ravens are heading to Cleveland to play the Browns.
You're all over the place. You're not following the itinerary.
I'm not
No,
following
no,
the
he's
itinerary.
he's going off of Yahoo.
Okay.
It's my fault. You can
It's
blame
not
me.
your fault. No.
Look at the screen.
We
Yeah,
have these
look at the
sheets for a
screen.
reason. Hello.
He can't read the screen. You kidding me?
Yeah, that's true. He's got no chance.
There.
Even with the bivocals.
I'll hold up the number of where we are. I'll go.
Here. I'll even zoom in for you. There you go.
Go ahead. Baltimore Ravens. against
Baltimore's
Cleveland
heading into
Browns.
Cleveland to play the Browns. The Browns are a 1-point favorite in this game. The over-under is 39. Deshaun Watson may not play.
The line shifted from -2.5 to 1.5, or -2 to 1.
Why ain't Watson playing?
His shoulder, and they signed Dorian Thompson-Robinson has gotten the first team snaps the last 2 days
shit.
of practice.
They're done.
Stefanski is hopeful that Deshaun Watson can play. I think Dorian Thompson-Robinson's incredible. He was awesome in college. And I'm just curious if he does play. I'm curious how he runs the offense, because he's the type of guy that Kevin Stefanski can utilize properly and make sure that things get
the
done.
kind of guy that fucking John Harbaugh will feed on,
Maybe.
especially a rookie.
So couple thoughts on this game. If the Browns do find a way to win this game, if hypothetically, let's say Deshaun Watson plays,
They're favored, by the way.
they're favored, even
Yeah.
with the question marks on Deshaun Watson. If the Browns win this game and Deshaun Watson play, either way, if they win it, that's a huge exclamation point on their season so far, and that gives them some real credibility. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think
If
Baltimore.
Watson doesn't play, you could probably just go the Ravens' way.
Either
it's
way,
the bottom line.
Listen, we can't play on spec here. We
Well,
got to decide. We got to be definitive.
I'm going to decide right now. I'm going to take the Browns in this.
And has he been? Have the Browns
And I'm
been?
taking the over.
Excuse me. Has Deshaun Watson been that good that we think that him not playing?
No.
is a
I think
difference?
the defense is that good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
I
with you.
really do.
I'm going to take Baltimore to cut. You took the Browns, right?
Correct.
Browns and the
Under.
whatever. I'm going to take Baltimore in the over.
I'm gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna take the Browns.
Wow.
Ravens were my AFC Super Bowl pick. I think they're lacking a little bit right now, and I think the Browns have this weird mojo going for them. I'm going to
agree.
take the Browns because I like them at home. Can you bark for me, Uncle Sam, for the dog pound?
No.
Will you do?
why-
Taking the under.
Will you do it week 17 or 18 if I ask you to bark?
I'll
Can you
let you know.
Well, I'm taking the Browns at home. I'm taking the Browns at home because of the dog pound. And if Dorian Thompson-Robinson plays, watch him. It's just a perfect situation for a guy that's played well in big games out west before. It's a perfect situation for him to grab the reins and maybe not look back while Deshaun Watson is getting kicked
I
while
would
he's
love
down.
to see that. Tug and rub put out of his fucking job.
This could be it. This is the opportunity of the lifetime here. So give me the Browns and give me the under.
I
Moving
think the
on.
same. I think the same.
Moving on. The Cincinnati Bengals are heading to Nashville to play the Tennessee Titans.
This is a fucking dumpster fire.
The Bengals are a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under is 41. Listen, I've said this will be the fourth week in a row I said it. They can't be this bad for this long, right? They can't be this bad. There's too much talent for them to be this bad for this long. Also, they're going up against the Titans. All right, I know this is where you're going to say the Titans' defense isn't something to be laughed at. Okay, because that's your usual fucking take. But at the end of the day, it's Ryan Tannehill. Derrick Henry's averaging 3 yards per carry on the year. He only has 1 touchdown. I'm not buying into it. The Bengals defense is too good. They will win this game in an ugly fashion. So I'm going to take Cincinnati minus 2.5 in the under.
I
Go.
agree.
Me three.
All the way.
Me
Same
three.
way.
Arab Fantasy last night, they all hate Joe Burrow for some reason. They think he's overrated, and I got in a fight with them over Joe Burrow over Justin Herbert. They just hate Joe Burrow because he's from Ohio, but like I saw Joe Burrow win, and I thought Joe Burrow, even though he didn't play great, was the reason the Bengals they won Monday night.
Yeah.
They play off of his backs. This is going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be low scoring, and people are going to get the shit beat out of them. I'll say this: watch out for T. Higgins. Because in games following big Jamar Chase games, T. Higgins tends to go off. I think T. Higgins has a big game this week. I like the Bengals to cover. I think they soundly win because the wheels are slowly getting put back on, and I like the under as well.
And you know what? I'm going to take my third anytime touchdown scorer, and that's going to be T. Higgins this week. Because the Bengals can't be that bad for that long. It just can't. They can't be.
Yeah.
Like, it has to come together.
I think they turned the corner last week.
Yeah, I think this is going to be...
Even though they didn't look great, they turned a corner.
They might.
Next up, the Los Angeles Rams are heading up to Indianapolis to play the Colts. Anthony Richardson will be playing in this game.
Perfect.
The Colts are a 1-point favorite. The over-under is 46. Who wants to start on this?
Stafford low-key plays bad at Lucas Oil Stadium. Is that what they're calling it these days?
Yes.
Did it change the name?
No, that's still it.
Yeah, and short, they have to go. I don't know if they stayed around this part of the world, but they had to go to Cincinnati on Monday. Then you go back, and then you got to go back to Indy, and he's historically played bad in Indy. I think that the Colts are tougher than people think. I like the Colts, even though that's probably an upset. I like the Colts. And I'm going to go with the... Ooh, this is a tough one.
46.
The under.
I agree.
So you're
All the
both
way.
going Colts. And
I'm going Colts in the under.
So this game was a Rams 1-point favorite until they announced Richardson is going to be active. They didn't say he's going to play. They said he will be active.
I don't care.
How many times have we seen Matthew Stafford lose to a backup quarterback?
I think
Or
Gardner
100.
Minshew should be the guy anyway there.
Give me the Colts -1 in the under in this as well. This has all the makings to be the real ugly game of the fucking week right there. The 12.
Almost as bad as the
9.
Broncos Bears.
Nothing's as bad as the
Okay.
Broncos versus the Bears. Nothing. Next up, we have
Divisional game.
where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are heading to New Orleans to play the Saints. New Orleans is a 3.5-point favorite, over under 39.5. This one is going to be very interesting to see where everybody goes here. I'm excited. Uncle
Derek
Sam?
Carr going to play.
He's questionable.
Questionable.
He hasn't practiced this week.
Fuck.
So wait, hold on. Does that mean we might?
I'll agree.
Who's the backup in New Orleans?
It's 30-30.
30-30.
The 30-30.
You know what? I'm going to roll the dice.
Do
here.
it.
I know
Fucking
this
do
sounds
it.
stupid, but I think they're due. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to upset
You know, you're such a
the
pussy.
We were
New Orleans
wrong,
Saints
by the
at
way.
home, and I'm taking the under.
We were wrong, by the way. The Bucks. I mean, typically they get dominated by the Saints, but the Bucks actually swept the Saints last year. I didn't know
They
that.
did, eh?
I
yeah.
thought Tom Brady lost to him twice.
Yeah, so did I. So did I. But no, they lost to them the Super Bowl year. They didn't lose to them last year.
You know what? You're a
I'm
bitch.
I'm taking them because I think if Derek Carr doesn't play, that 30-30 will come in and just fuck everything up.
You're a bitch.
Why?
Because all you know.
Listen, because
You're supposed to have. You're
I'm
supposed to
not
have
the
his
Tampa
back.
Bay New England Patriot bandwagon jumper like you are.
You're supposed
Because
to.
that's all
have-
you are. Oh, Tampa Bay, oh, greatest team of all time. But fucking goddamn fucking Patriots.
You're
Fuck-
supposed to have 30-30s
Fuck
back.
you.
You're supposed to have 30-30s back.
Whatever. What happened to you, bandwagoner? You don't even talk about. You got everything New England Patriot under the sun in this fucking house. And I don't hear you ever talk about them ever again. They were your team. You've been to Gillette Stadium more times than fucking Tom Brady.
Say then Ford Field. Hit him where it hurts.
He's been there more than Ford Field. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. He has every Brady jersey there is. He has every fucking New England Patriot thing there is. I guarantee you that. Fucking horse shit.
I'm going with
You
30-30.
bandwagon jumper.
Give me the Saints minus
you left the
3.5.
Tampa Bay. You left
I'm taking the over
New
as
England.
well.
Oh, Tampa Bay. Tell that bullshit for fucking 2 years. I had to hear Tampa Bay. Garbage. They got lucky.
I think
They got
years.
lucky.
I think years worth of built up
Without Leonard
anger.
Fournette, they would have lost that Super Bowl.
Years worth of built up anger and frustration is coming out right now.
What are you talking about?
Without Leonard Fournette, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would have lost that game.
I'll
Good
go.
Period.
Good thing there's a spot in the home now that Diane Feinstein's gone, so we can roll you in there next. Go ahead, Zolo.
What was his name? Epstein?
low
Did I get to
key-
go to the island?
Low key, this is very difficult to pick. I want
You know,
you guys to
the
know that.
one that Bill Clinton used to go to all the time?
Yeah.
Can I go there?
Anyways, go ahead.
This is difficult to pick. I'll start here. I think it's the under. Both of these teams started 2-0 and then they lost last week, but I think they got to where they were because of they play good defense.
Yes.
So I'm going to start with the under. If Jameis ends up starting, we have two Heisman winning quarterbacks going in this game, and they both couldn't be trending in the worst direction.
Yes.
I'll say this much. This is the best secondary that Evans and Godwin are going to face, and a lot of the Bucs offense has gone through Evans and Godwin. And for
Evans
that
is
reason,
on a mission right now.
yeah, I agree, but I do think that the Superdome is a hard place to play at the end of the
I
game,
agree.
or at the end of the day, and I think Jameis will do. He's always good for one win when he comes in these backup situations. He's always good for one, and I think with a week of prep, no matter if it's him or Carr, I think with a week of prep, Jameis is going to do just enough to win. I like the Saints to win. I like the Saints to cover.
Oh, they get Kamara back this week.
They get Kamara back this week. I like the Saints to win. I like the Saints to cover, and I like the under.
I agree with
They
you.
got the perfect weapon for Alvin Kamara. It's called Levante David.
Well, you know something? I actually want to point two things out about this game. You know who's leading the team in rushing right now for the New Orleans Saints?
It's not Jamal Williams, is it?
no, he's on IR.
Is it the rookie?
It's Taysom Hill, the tight end.
Yeah.
There you go. That's
And
great.
then,
/ quarterback.
funny
That's
enough,
that's awesome.
Baker Mayfield, and I don't think I've ever seen this before, Baker Mayfield and Derek Carr have the exact same number of passing yards. Wow. Both at 636.
Something's
that'll
got to
end
give.
the week.
Something's got to give.
Something's got to give. Give me the Saints and the under. Moving on. Wow, how do we spend more time on that game than anything else? We have
Divisional game.
the Commanders are heading to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. The Eagles are 8.5-point favorites. The over-under is 43.5. Go ahead. Tell us how somehow the Commanders are going to cover this game. Go ahead.
I'm going to take the Eagles and the over.
Yeah, I like the Eagles. I actually
I know.
43.5 is a weird number. I like the Eagles, and I like.
After watching the Commanders struggle last week offensively, dude, I think that Philadelphia is starting to click. I just don't see anything going there.
You took the over.
Philly's
I know.
Philly's defense has won them games, I think, and I think offensively they've been hearing Jalen Hurts has been hearing enough shit get talked about him for the last week and a half, 2 weeks to piss him off, and I think this is the game. And the Commanders are going to play him tough. We've talked about this before. They always play the divisional games pretty tough. I just think this is the game where offensively they start to pop off. The Eagles' defense is already
last year this is where the Eagles got popped because they didn't have Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
but.
I think the Eagles. I think the Eagles. The Commanders. Congrats to you on the start. I still think it was fluky because you played some pretty bad teams. That changes this week. It's going to be not similar to what the Bills did, but I think the Eagles get back on track. I like the under, and
it could be similar to what happened last week.
I like the Eagles, and I like the under.
Yeah.
I like the Eagles and the under as well.
Okay.
Moving on. Oh wow! In a battle of two winless teams, the Minnesota Vikings are heading to Carolina to play the Panthers. Minnesota's a 4.5-point favorite. Over-under is 46.5. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think the Minnesota tank keeps on tanking.
Wow.
I think Bryce Young comes out, picks up his first win, and is an NFL quarterback. I think that they're able to run the ball against Minnesota very well. I think that this game's probably going to hit the over, as fucked up as that is for me to say. I like the way that Chark has looked last week with Dalton. I like the way Thielen looked the week before.
Is this a 1 o'clock game?
This is a 1 o'clock game, not at Minnesota. We're at Carolina.
I understand that. I just asked.
I'm going to take Carolina to win this game, and I'm going to take the over.
I'll echo that just to have a little fun.
I'm going to take the under in Minnesota.
I think that
you're no fun.
Same drill. Seattle plays a similar style to Minnesota.
Correct.
And they did something right, even if it was Andy Dalton. The Panthers did something right to be in that game at the end of the game last week.
Yeah, but he's not playing.
And it's different at home. And I think Bryce Young's going to benefit from that week off. And I'm curious to see. You got to think like all guns to my head right now. You got to think like, listen, the Vikings aren't going to let this go on for too much longer, and this would be the game to stop it. I think it does go on. I think it does go on.
I think they're that fucked up.
They're gonna be fiending to get Bryce Young that first win, and they played well enough last week to where I think they could do it this week at home.
Okay.
Next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers head down to Houston to play the Texans. Pittsburgh's a 3-point favorite. The over-under is 42. So who comes out on top this week, C.J. Stroud or the Pittsburgh D?
This is the best defense that the Texans have played, and Tomlin doesn't choke away these games against shitty or rookie quarterbacks. Love what Stroud has done. I think he's incredible. I think he's going to keep getting better. Houston ain't much of a road game. I think there's going to be a lot of Steeler fans down there. I think the Steelers are going to cover. I think they're going to win outright, and I like the under in this one.
Steelers -3 all day and the under. I agree with Zolo 100%. It's what Houston's doing is awesome, but the Pittsburgh D is gonna they gotta put an exclamation point on this one.
All of their wins, it's kept them in.
Yeah.
I thought what they did last week was very underrated.
Who?
What the Texans did.
Oh,
they beat up a very good football team, and I got a feeling they're going to keep the trend going. I'm taking the Texans and the under.
Who did they beat up last week?
Jacksonville.
They did beat up Jacksonville last
week.
You're right.
I'm taking the Texans and the under.
Okay.
How about those Cowboys?
What? What are you talking about? Next up.
He wants you to pick that game, I think.
Well, we're gonna save that one for last. Next up, we have the Raiders heading to LA to play the Chargers. Eckler and Derwin James.
Oh, I missed that one.
Eckler and Derwin James are both doubtful to play this weekend.
Fuck Eckler, dude. He's out again?
Doubtful.
What the fuck?
The Chargers are still a 5.5-point favorite, and the over-under is 48.5. Okay, last week when Eckler didn't play, we didn't expect the Chargers to do much, and they pulled one out. I can't The Raiders are so fucking bad right now. They are so bad that I'm going to go against every rule I have because I think that the Chargers, I had them losing this game preseason. Give me the Chargers minus 5.5. And I'm going to take the over because as bad as Vegas is, they're still putting up some points. I mean, Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs have to put up some points. And Mike Williams is out for the year too. God. I mean, they're decimated already. It's going to be the Josh Palmer show. Give me the Chargers.
Listen, I called it last week. This is the battle of which coach is going to get fired first.
Yeah.
And McDaniels took the lead. And there's just a lot of bad juju going for the Raiders right now. And Jimmy Garoppolo is still in the concussion protocol.
He
isn't
is.
I like the Chargers. I still don't think that things are going in the right direction for them, but they're going to win the shit off, in my opinion. I like the
Shit off.
Yeah, I like the Chargers, and I like the over.
I'll take the Chargers in the over.
Wow.
Across the board.
Yep.
Did we all just agree there?
No.
I thought you thought the Raiders were, fringe playoff.
Listen to me. If
Fringe playoff team.
one of your best defensive linemen's fucking crazy right now, and
I thought he wasn't crazy.
Yeah, you said he wasn't crazy.
I don't think he is. I think he exposed the government for what they are there in Las Vegas.
The government?
Yes, the government that runs,
Just
Las
for
Vegas.
fun, real quick here.
Yeah.
Let's say Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't play. Do we know?
If I was Jimmy Garoppolo, I wouldn't even play football anymore.
Guys.
I would be a model or a porn star. I mean, if I was him, that's what I'd be doing.
Yeah, Jimmy-
I don't know why he plays football.
Jimmy, if you could hear
I don't
this,
get it.
go fuck.
Brian
That's what I would do
Hoyer.
if I was him.
Brian Hoyer
I
will
would
be
never play football
QB1
again.
for the Raiders this week.
Perfect. We got a Patriots guy in there. We're all set.
That's it.
Well, Aiden O'Connell's on the roster as well.
Ugh.
Hey, he's actually not bad. I like him. I like him a lot. And I think they should start him. If Jimmy can't play, start him.
Oh, my God. Should be a porn star. Next up, the Arizona Cardinals are heading to San Francisco to play the 49ers. San Francisco is
14.
a 14-point favorite. The over-under is 43.5. I know what you're going to say. It ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put that across.
What? I'm not going to say what. You think that was a fluke what they did last week against Dallas?
Yes.
I don't. I don't at all. They've done it all year. They play tough all year. I like what they do, and I'm going to take the Cardinals to cover that 14. The under.
I think that I agree. The Cardinals play tough as hell, and I really think that that's a franchise that we need to watch going forward. I think they play tough for Gannon, and good for them. The difference between the Cowboys and the 49ers is the 49ers, no matter who they play, are prepared to play every week, and the Cowboys are not. They have a shit head coach. They've never known what they've been doing at offensive coordinator, and I just think that Kellen Moore, not Kellen Moore, I think that listen, one of these big numbers is going to go against the 49ers at some point. It's not going to be this big number.
I agree.
It's not going to be this week. They might even lose a game at some point. They're going to lose a game at some point. I just don't think this is the big number that goes against them. I like the Niners to cover, and I like the over in that game too.
I like the Niners to cover, and I like the under in this game.
I'm taking the under, and I'm taking the Cardinals.
That one will be interesting to circle back on. Next up.
What? I said they'll cover. Are they going to win? Probably not. But they will cover that 14.
You don't have them winning.
They will cover the 14.
It's a lot of points.
Yeah.
It's a lot of points.
Yep. And I don't think Brock Purdy's that good either.
We know
sucks
that.
ass.
No.
We know that. We'll talk
ass.
about that one on
You
Monday.
paper fucking champion.
We'll talk Monday.
What did you just say?
Paper champion. You're fucking ragdoll.
Next
ahead.
up, the New England Patriots are heading down to Dallas to play the Cowboys. Cowboys are 6.5-point favorite. The over-under is 43. So the Cowboys are coming off of a ass pummeling by Arizona last week.
And then the New England Patriots win a slobber knocker
Yeah.
last week.
Also, there's been a lot of chatter about Mac Jones this week that we didn't touch on after he punched Sauce Gardner in his dick. And then
You know
now
what I want to see?
Huh.
You really want to know what I want to see?
Sure.
I want to see Mac Jones punch Mike McCarthy in the dick. That's what I want to see. With Dak Prescott jiggling them for him.
There has
Jiggling the bells for him.
There has been some question marks about
Solo's not paying attention, otherwise he would have laughed on that one.
Mac
I was
Jones'
laughing
character.
internally.
I'm sorry, but you have to. Even if Dallas got waxed last week, give me Dallas minus 6.5, and I'm going to take the over in this game.
I don't think that Dak goes back-to-back weeks with bad games, and I think the Dallas defense is going to be licking their chops on this one. And again, there's just not a lot to like about the Patriots.
Dak is exactly what we thought Dak was last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I like the Cowboys in the 10-point range, so I'm going with the Cowboys.
Okay.
And I also like the over in that one.
Okay. I'm going to
ahead.
take the Patriots to cover.
We saw that coming. Fucking
What?
away.
What? What? It's Dak fucking
Never
Prescott,
seen Mike
dude.
McCarthy.
It's Mike McCarthy and it's Dak Prescott. I'm taking the fucking
Hey,
Patriots to
I bet
cover.
you can guess who he's going to take in this one too. Next up, the Kansas City Chiefs are heading to MetLife Stadium to play Gang Green. Kansas City's an 8.5-point favorite. The over/under is 41.5. Go ahead.
I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs
Oh,
and the over.
see, you're a pussy. If you're going to do it, do
And what
it.
is
You
it,
set the
41
table
and a
for
half?
41 and a
I'm taking
half.
the over because I think Kansas City will put up 42.
You think Kansas City's going to score 42 points on the Jets defense?
Yes, I do.
You do, eh?
This is Patty Mahomes'. They haven't had that come out blowout yet, but this will be it.
Wait, they had it last week, didn't they?
What do you mean?
They fucked the Bears shit up last week.
It was the Bears.
Yeah, but I mean, that's still the
It
come
was
out
the fucking
blowout.
Bears, dude.
Dude, it was 41
Hey, I
to
will
10.
say this: Justin Fields might be better than Zach Wilson. Maybe. We're about to see.
Ooh.
You failed to mention who's supposed to be in the building Sunday night.
Oh, Taylor Swift.
No.
No one gives a
There is a rumor.
Joe Namath?
If he is cleared to walk, excuse me, not if he's cleared to walk because he can't walk, but if he is cleared to travel, that Aaron Rodgers will be in the building.
If Aaron Rodgers is in
Sunday.
the building, all bets are off.
The fucking jet man and his cape
I
and
say
his
if they can fucking
firefighter helmet.
if they could kind of prop him up and angle him a little bit to the right, I think he could play.
Maybe.
You have Brees Hall push him around.
That's it.
Maybe.
One of those little gurneys.
Yeah, but Taylor Swift is obviously going to be there. That's her
Oh,
second
God
hometown.
damn it.
NBC.
Mother-
Apparently, there's a story. Fox
Fuck.
asked to use one of her songs last week, and she big dicked them. Well, NBC is using "Welcome to New York" by Taylor Swift in their promo for the game Sunday, and they're going to get big ratings just because she's there. And that I love Taylor Swift, but that pisses me off. I'm a little sick of it at this point. I like the Chiefs to win, and you know what? The Chiefs are good with overs. I'm not taking it. I'm going to take the under because I think the Jets have been that bad. And I think things are just going to continue to trend downward until they make that switch at quarterback.
I'm going to take the Chiefs in the under.
Well, they did sign Trevor Siemian.
Yeah, they could throw Trevor Seaman out there.
Trevor Tittyman.
I still think if they can get him in there and keep him upright, that they'll have a better shot with him than they will Zach Wilson. I mean, Zach Wilson's had his time here in the NFL. He's had his shot to start. He's had his shot to back up. He still can't fucking play in this league. And at some point, they got to say goodbye. They do. It's either have him hold the fucking water bottles on the sidelines or have him selling hot dogs in the concession stand.
How much
That's
longer
his
can
fucking
this
choice.
last?
Huh?
How much longer can this last?
I don't know.
It's like the
And-
pressure in a gun right now. That's
right.
That's where we're at.
And here you got people already firing on Robert Saleh. You got Joe Namath, who's fucking 5 shots deep, talking about he's not winning. and you got fucking
Who's drunker, Joe Namath or Jim Irsay?
you know what? I bet you those two hang out.
Wouldn't
I bet
shock
you they
me.
hang out.
Wouldn't
And when they do, I bet you they both get in the fights and they got to carry them both home.
Well, that's
What do
it.
you think?
Those
what do
are
you
our
think of
picks.
this game?
What game? The Chiefs Jets?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the Jets are going to score any points. I think it's going to be like a 27-10 game. They get a lucky
don't think Patty
accidental
Mahomes
touchdown.
will put 40 up on that?
No, he's not going to have to.
They'll pull him before that happens.
Yeah, I
and they'll
think
start
so.
running the ball. I've seen
Yeah.
as someone that's kept an eye on Mahomes'
Yeah,
fantasy.
you know what? You're
stats,
right. I'm going to go the under.
That by the third
I
quarter,
changing my thing. I'm going the under.
it's usually somewhere around the middle third And even still, I think the Jets defense they're gonna do their part at the beginning of the game to mitigate a lot of the damage. I just think eventually
on the field way too
flows.
fucking much.
Yeah,
because they're unable to sustain any kind of drive.
that's how it works. Is they're just on the field too much at the moment.
Yeah.
So, and some
No
other.
matter how many guys are
Okay.
swapping out everything, it just doesn't
It happens
matter.
every time.
I know.
Sorry.
So-
Fuck you. It happens every time. You little prick.
We good now?
Yeah.
Am I good to change up here?
Wait.
So Sunday will mark Miguel Cabrera's last MLB game and some other Detroit news. He will be retiring after Sunday's game. The Tigers announced today that Miguel Cabrera's next chapter will be as the special assistant to the president of baseball operations. So he'll be taking a front office position with the team once his
What team?
the Tigers.
For what?
It's almost a ceremonial role.
Yeah.
He's gonna collect a contract just to answer some questions from time to time. This guy's gonna go to Venezuela, which is a war zone, and he's
can I
gonna
ask
lock
a
himself in. Yeah, raise your hand first.
What has he done?
Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah. What has he done here?
I mean, he's one of the most.
Fucking kidding me?
What has he fucking
Here's
done? here?
here's the thing: is there's a ton of people in the Uncle Sam camp
Hold on.
that are like, that guy didn't do shit here, and he only
What?
caused
All right.
more
He's
problems.
got 500 fucking home runs. Okay. I'm asking you a question. What has he done here?
The memories that he brought in like a 5-year span.
How many World Series did he go to?
If we're going like that, then what is?
I'm talking as a Tiger.
It's fair. It's fair. But if we're judging it by that, like
What did Barry
what did Barry
Sanders do?
Sanders or Calvin Johnson do? You know, that's the same argument. at that
Barry
point.
Sanders transcended the fucking game. Miguel Cabrera hasn't.
Miguel Cabrera.
He
kinda,
has not transcended the game.
No, he kind of.
He kind of.
There's been guys better than him that have played the game.
Yeah, but what he did in that 3-season span where he couldn't be stopped, and there's a class of baseball nerds that'll be like, oh, I like that Uncle Sam. He knows his shit, and you're not wrong. Analytically, so he didn't win a title, and analytically, he like his WAR, they call it, wins above replacement. It's gone like this. So analytically, he's been one of the worst players in baseball.
I will say this about
Hold
him.
on. Before
Hold on.
No.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Who would you have rather had? In 2006, I watched a team that won the year prior, 2005. They lost 118 games. And I watched a has-been catcher, a fucking
That's Pudge.
pitcher that everybody just dumped.
It's Kenny
that
Rogers.
Nobody fucking wanted anymore. And they took a team with 3 young fucking pitchers that nobody even knew who they fucking were. 3. You had 2
Verlander.
closers and a fucking starter that went on there with 2 other guys that were absolute garbage, and Bonderman and fucking the rest of these dickweeds. And they go to the fucking World Series.
That was great. Arguably the biggest travesty of my Detroit sports lifetime. The 2012 Tigers that went to the World Series, that's one thing, but the 13 Tigers that shouldn't have lost to the Red Sox in the LCS, that team was probably one of the best teams of all time to never win a title, and they just weren't built properly, and that's not Miguel Cabrera's fault. And he won a Triple Crown that year.
Yeah,
and
but
that's,
he wasn't
Can I
there
ask you
when
a
I'm
question?
talking about.
Can I ask you a question?
Are you saying who would I rather
Maglio
have?
Ordonez hit the biggest fucking shot that the Tigers have had since fucking 84. Period.
Okay.
Bottom line. Period.
At the end of the day, legendary Detroit sports figure. Legendary.
Yeah.
Legendary.
And he's
Okay.
retiring.
And we're just trying to honor him by saying something about retiring.
Dance.
All I said is, what has he fucking done here? That's all I said.
He won a Triple
All right,
Crown.
so he won a Triple Crown.
He was great.
Ooh.
He was great to the people.
So
He was a
did Joe
12-time,
DiMaggio.
he was a 12-time MVP.
I'm sorry?
He was a 12-time All-Star.
Yeah, well, okay.
2-time
All-Stars
MVP.
and 12-time MVP that didn't even fucking make it to a World Series.
Okay, Barry Sanders never made it to a
Wait, hold on.
Next.
Cabrera made a World Series here.
Cabrera
No, he didn't.
made it.
2012.
He made it
Yeah.
to 2.
And they got
Oh, no,
fucking
he
ass
made it to
raped.
1.
He
and
won one
with
in
the
Florida.
Marlins.
Yeah, he won one with the Marlins.
Oh, so he's got it. He's got the ring.
He's got your ring.
He's done more than Barry.
Guess
Calvin.
what?
He's
Guess
done
what?
more
So
than
does
Barry.
Matt Stafford. What did he
So
do
does
while
Matt
he was
Stafford.
here?
He didn't do anything here.
Sucking ass. Exactly.
Sucking
This
ass.
is different because we're talking about a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Correct. Matt Stafford's not a first ballot Hall of
In
Fame.
baseball, it's a recent thing where these main guys have gone around and they get like these crazy retirement. Like they did it for David Ortiz. They kind of did it for A-Rod. They did it for Jeter. That's the it's the end of an era. and what Miguel Cabrera did on the field. He's one of the most well-liked guys in the history of baseball.
He's a
And he had
20-year
issues here.
career.
His first 2 years here, he had issues. He was a drunk. He had a drunk driving. He got in a fight with his
Don't
wife.
you know who I am that he told the fucking state cop? Don't you know who I am? Yeah.
Hermano. I'll never forget that video.
Whatever, dude. Listen to me. He underachieved while he was here. He wasn't able to push this team over the limit.
You're not getting any more alive.
I don't care.
We're cutting you off.
Don't care.
That's it.
Don't fucking care.
Anyways, congratulations to Miguel Cabrera on
Whatever.
a fantastic career.
So long, Chi-Chi.
Anything else to add?
You guys should come
Adios,
to Whirly Ball.
muchacho.
You should definitely come to Whirly Ball. The Arabs will be so excited if they see you.
Depending on my state, I will consider.
Yeah, he's got to check his venereal disease before he comes.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. Make sure to check our socials, Instagram and Twitter, at Tip Balls, TikTok, at Tip Balls Podcast. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Music, check us out on YouTube and remember to click subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. You will hear from us on Monday.